Hi there, this is SATYAJIT from SATYAJIT Films, and welcome to part 8 of my SATYAJIT series. And the film I'm going to discuss today is The Big City from 1963, or Mahanagar. This is from Artificial Eyes Blu-ray collection of SATYAJIT, which I urge you to go and pick up. This is a film set in the 50s, and I mean, sometimes SATYAJIT is kind of compared to Ozu, sometimes Renoir, but I think this is maybe one of his more Ozuzian films, if that's a term. If it's not, it is now. It's a story about a middle class family who are having money problems. The father works in a bank, but they have his parents living with him, and they, as with a lot of SATYAJIT films, there's a old world, new world clash. And they live with them as well as their 2 children. So there's kind of money pressure. So the idea comes up that the wife will get a job, even though obviously to the grandfather, who's old school, this is a ridiculous idea. And the husband says, yeah, you can have a job, but if I find another job, then you'll have to give up that job. So the wife goes to work as a sales assistant, selling sewing machines door to door, and she gets more money and more confidence and does really well in the business, and wears lipstick, which forms an important part of the film. Not quite as important as the lipstick in Black Narcissus, but again, it's a sign of independence and more of the new world. During this time, the husband's bank goes broke, so she's then the only breadwinner, which obviously the husband doesn't like. That winds the grandfather up even more, and things happen and develop. People lose jobs, gain jobs, as the story goes along. Again, there's not much to the story, as quite a lot of Ray films are simple stories. But the gift that Ray had, and what makes him next level, is the fact it's simple stories, but he just creates characters that you care about, are invested in, and are interested in, and then 2 hours and 20 minutes go by, and then you go, that was really good. Again, it's not my favourite SATYAJIT film. It's not necessarily the film that I would tell people to start your SATYAJIT journey on, but it's so well written. As usual, Ray directed, wrote, and by now he pretty much does all the music for his films as well. Again, you've got the old world, new world. You've got more and more English being spoken and kind of smattered in with the Bengali. There's an Anglo-English character called Edith who also works with Arati, the wife, and strangely enough she's a bit more pushy, so that's just coincidence, and she's pivotal in what happens to Arati later in the film. Again, it's shot with the usual mix of realism, beautiful compositions. There's scenes that Ray uses handheld camera, and again, it's just the humanity in the story and the rich characters that Ray just creates. You know, the grandfather goes, who used to be a teacher, he goes to all these old students who are doctors, pretty much begging them for money, speaking ill of his son and his wife for not supporting him. But then he has an accident, and then the scene where he actually kind of confesses this to the pair of them and kind of asks them to punish him is actually quite moving. Yeah, again, there's not a lot to the plot here. There's no twisty turny plots in Ray films. It's just simple stories told beautifully. Ray is one of the best directors of women and kind of strong female characters, and this is kind of the first film that really takes that on, as far as women becoming more independent, women getting jobs and actually kind of being accepted as breadwinners, even though obviously during this film, you know, her husband's attitude to her changes and her father-in-law's attitude obviously is old school. This idea that the woman can't earn more than the man, I wouldn't say we've completely outgrown that kind of idea. It's still there in some places. Again, the performances are all fantastic, and it's just a very good film. Again, synopsis wise, you might go, why do I need to watch this? But well, certainly for me, you just get hooked in with the characters and you just go with it. You want to know what happens to them. You know, there's so many films nowadays that are just in one ear and out the other. You don't care about any of the people involved in the film. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes I like films where you don't necessarily care about people, but you still are interested enough in their journey to what happens to them. So you don't necessarily have to care about people in films to actually make it a great film. But with Ray, there's such humanity in these characters, and you do care about them and root for them, and that's just because his films are so well crafted. So this is just a little short one, because again, there's no need to talk about convoluted plots for half an hour. I would definitely recommend it. Again, not necessarily the first SATYAJIT Ray film you should watch, but I would certainly try and get your hands on the SATYAJIT Ray collection on Blu-ray from Artificial Eye. It has Charulata or The Lonely Wife. I think it's got The Coward and The Holy Man on it as well, and it's well worth picking up. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen The Big City by SATYAJIT Ray before and what you think of it, and hopefully we'll see you again for episode 9 of this fantastic filmmaker's back catalogue. So this is Solitude Ronan saying thank you very much for watching, and hope you have an enjoyable evening. Farewell.